you know, thank
Yeah,
you for doing this.
you
Uh,
are welcome.
you know that I'm doing a book, The Advocates, the Healers, and let me just do, then I can read it, Heeding a
Mhm.
Higher Calling. Um, and that's why I wanted to talk to you.
Mm.
Um, you are quite the advocate, and you have come from a lot. Like you have like remade yourself, which is why I loved this picture so much of you ballroom dancing. How old were you when you started doing this? May I put you on
Oh,
the spot?
dance. Well, that was like 4.5 years ago. I mean, not very. So I'm 61 now. So
The other day?
the other day, mid 50s. Yeah.
Oh
But
my goodness.
I don't know if anybody can relate, but it was in the pandemic, during the pandemic, and I was a little bored, like looking for some things to do. And a friend made a suggestion, there's a great dance studio in town. Why don't you? And I always believed that I could dance if I had a good lead. I think we all can, but that's what I thought. And so I thought, well, it's worth a try. And when you go to, professional studios, if you will,
Yeah.
they're pretty awesome leads. So that's how it started. And now I'm at a second different studio, and it's been
And
great.
you compete. It's not just la 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 dancing. Look at you.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That was last year, right around, well, probably, yeah, in March. Because that was a competition I did.
No, if
And
that isn't proof in the pudding of being able to find joy in the chaos, since you started that during, the times that you did.
right, right.
What?
Well, that's what I learned in my life is that, you know, we're all going to have ups and downs, right? There's going to be the roller coaster of life, and we can sit in the bad times and say, wow, this really sucks and this really is awful. And then and I was in the muck for a while with family issues and all kinds of things. And then things started getting better, but then I realized that, like, nobody's, as Mel Robbins says, nobody's coming. Nobody's coming to pull you out of bed. Nobody's coming to say, come on, let's go. Let's sign up for that class. Let's go to that volunteer. Let's go to a dance. Nobody's coming. And so, and I don't say that just like, oh, it's so easy then to say, well, I'm going to go do this, because it's not easy. It takes a lot of bravery. There's many times I walked into that studio, or I moved to a new town. So now I'm going to new things where nobody knows me. So it takes that bravery, but there's so much life to be experienced when you do those kind of things, when you try new things. And it's never too late, to try new things and do new things. And then the joy, what I found is that the joy just, it starts to come. It starts to peak out like, oh, this what's it like to be a little happy again. This is what it's like to enjoy myself for an hour and forget about, shut out the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason that I was so and still I am so excited to know you is because you have taken big leaps. And what I found is that when people hang out with somebody who's comfortable doing that, it raises their level of comfort and confidence. And that's
Hmm.
why I think you're just such an awesome advocate. You have said yes to yourself, and you're not selfish about it. Mom of four, right?
Right.
Adult children. Started a podcast. Wait, well, by the way, when did you do this?
Yeah. Well, I started that at the beginning of 2020 also.
Awesome.
Yeah. And now we're in our second season, so I changed the name of it, and changed
Is it different from this?
it is. It's
Oh
still the
crap, I
gal.
got the wrong one.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. You can find it on both
Oh,
with both names, I believe. But it's the same gal, Juggling Hearts, but now it's called Your Journey to Joy. And so really
my bad.
just, yeah, that's fine. It's good. It's fine. Um there's a lot of great episodes. I mean, I loved this first season because it was a chance for me to tell my story of kind of reclaiming myself, reclaiming my health during these extreme times of stress with our daughter who was suffering from a life-threatening mental health disorder. And so,
Gosh.
and I realized that I'm the mom, I'm a retired nurse, so like I have my own business, I'm an entrepreneur, I started a business, so I'm helping everybody else. And I really thought I could help my daughter through all of that. I experienced an eating disorder myself in college. So I thought, oh, but you know, she needed her help from experts and the professionals, and I needed to go and help myself. So as I was starting to do that, I met so many people that had stories of overcoming, and and I was continuing to juggle life. And so I thought, why not share people's stories? Why not share my stories? Just like you said, when we share our stories, when we meet other people, when we're around other people that are doing really cool things, we're encouraged to try those cool things too, or to feel like we're just not alone in what we're going through.
Yeah. Speaking of stories, cue the backdrop.
Yeah.
Da 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 da.
Yes, thank you for that. That was a wonderful. So again, as you said, I'm likewise so honored to be connected with you, and this was a
Aw,
beautiful exercise for me to really um, get part of my story put down in writing and published. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
thank you.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been the same without you.
Yeah.
And I loved the boutique style allows the collaboration on a very personal level. That's
Hmm.
what I love. So getting to know you and then when we do our call and we figure out well what angle and who are we talking to and how do we share so much? You have so much to
Hmm.
share.
It
I'm
was
like, when
hard
I
to get it into that.
right, you did a
Yeah.
spectacular job because like I said, we're doing a chapter out of your life, not your life in a chapter.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But you have done so much all at once. It's remarkable. And you just stand without even saying anything. You emanate that as I said, you open the dance floor.
Hmm.
Um no pun intended
Yeah.
with others.
Yeah.
What do you think it takes for somebody to like you've come through, I'm going to bottom line it for you listeners that don't know. Um, Moira has been through a lot to reclaim or name and claim herself. And and then all of a sudden you're able to do all these other things for other people. How do you balance doing things for other people in a way that doesn't take away so that you're too much too yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I do. Yeah. Well, I've learned that. I've learned that the hard way. As I have learned and I started to have some health issues that were related to stress and just the feeling that I didn't want to go out of the house or go to this activity or whatever because I just was feeling so terrible. But
Yeah.
what I've learned is that in order for me to help others, I have to help myself first. And so I tell moms that, like, you can sit and be like, you can try to help your kids with this, and this, with their health, with their college applications, with all of that. But if you're not filling your cup up first, then you're no good to anybody because you just got. And that's what I learned is that I created a morning routine that I follow most mornings, which takes me downstairs to a little spot that's quiet, that has books, that has my journal, that has my tea, has a candle, and so I spend time there, and that fills me up by reading encouraging words or reading or just journaling out what thoughts are on my mind or listening to a meditation or sitting quietly for 20 minutes and just being, just praying or whatever. That fills up my cup. And so then I'm better able to go on with the day. But my day does include helping other people. If it's, coaching one of my clients to create a health wellness plan or, coach, but you have to, you've got to be able to balance. I mean, in order to balance it, you really have to take care of yourself first. And it continues to be like I have to remind myself. Like when I'm starting to feel like, oh, there's so much going on, I'm so busy. It's like, okay, get back to yourself. Get back to yourself. And especially when you deal with health issues and other issues. It's your body's way of saying, pay more attention to me.
And one of the ways that you have helped, and I heard this on your January 23rd episode. I had to change the backdrop so that people could find it in the right place. You make joy, you've given it, first of all, it's an acronym, yeah?
Right. It's the journey of you.
Love that.
Yeah.
Word nerd over here. I love acronyms. But you gave a really cool exercise that I was hoping you would share today.
Sure. Yeah, the beginning of you can do this anytime, but the beginning of the year is always a great time that we're looking at, right, changing our habits or improving or making commitments or resolutions or whatever you want to call them. And I'm sure somebody taught it to me one time or told me about it, but I love it. It's called Start, Stop, and Continue. And so it's a nice exercise to do where you look at, okay, now it's the new year. What am I going to start doing? What am I going to stop doing? And what am I going to continue doing? And sometimes you can just sit and figure that out, if you will, within a short time. But I often do it alongside like an exercise where I kind of like reflect on my year. And that's what I encourage people to do. Is a coach did that with me one time, is to just look at your past year and just separate it, look at every month and look at what were your wins, what were your challenges, and really go through, because sometimes when you go back, you forgot that this happened in January, this happened in March, and it can give you some perspective on your year. And so you can celebrate your year, but then look at, okay, this worked. So I think I'm going to continue doing that. This, I really got to start doing it, or maybe you learn something. And so you want to start a new project, or you want to start, looking for a new job, or whatever the case is, but you want to start something. Maybe you realize that you got to stop doing things. One year, I just realized I needed to stop being so busy. Like I was so busy, like going places. I love to be around people. I just love the energy of together. So I was going to a lot of networking and talks and this and that, just lots of things. But I
Yeah.
also realized that when we're so busy, I think we live in a society of busy, and that takes us away sometimes in really doing the work that we need to do.
Yeah.
You can, we can be involved, but it really comes down to being intentional. And sometimes that
That's it.
means not as busy. So I stopped being so busy one year. That was
Good
one of
for you.
but I really love that exercise because it's a really great way to kind of again stop and think and evaluate and then say, okay, this year, this is what I'm, but and not again, not always, okay, this is what I'm going to do, but you're going to do this, stop doing this, but some things are really working well, and so you want to continue doing that.
I love the honest self-reflection in that.
Mhm.
I'll be honest. When I was little, I said, when I grow up, nobody's going to tell me what to do. And I realized every time I set a goal, I wouldn't do it. I was like, including me, apparently. That's a problem.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is why accountability partners and people that
Mhm.
are living the life, even just if we're just one step ahead of somebody, we can be helpful to them. If
That's right.
someone's one step ahead of you, hopefully a few more, like you are for people.
I mean, I was talking with someone the other day who I interviewed for my podcast. It's the second time around. She has written several wonderful books, children's books, her own books, a new book now on motherhood, and a new book on her overcoming her OCD and eating disorder. I mean, brilliant books. And then I talked with her about, so what are you doing? You're selling the books. I just asked, are you going to be doing like any coaching or group coaching or like encouraging? Kind of what I do is try to bring women together. And she ducked her head. She goes, no, I'm not really qualified to do that. Like, what? I mean, I tell
Oh,
people that because she did, I don't have like a coaching certificate or I said, listen, you are an expert by experience, and so many of us are,
that,
right?
that,
We've had the experience. And
yes,
so for those that want to be coached by someone with has all the letters, we'll let those people be coached. But we can bring people together. We can encourage, we can be an advocate for them. We don't have to have all of them, but we are experts
that,
by experience, right?
that.
Right.
God, it's way more valuable. I understand feeling maybe like, oh, I don't qualify, but man, there's nothing like sitting down next to a sage and, degree or not. Um, because I think what calls to us is for us.
Hmm.
And then instead of worrying about how, stay focused on the what. The how makes itself known.
Hmm.
Like you had an idea that you might want to be, right? You wanted to be published and it showed up,
It
right?
showed up.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
I had created a journal um, during those, pandemic time, but I knew that I was thinking there was a book inside of me, but I wasn't sure like, oh, what would the whole book be? And it showed up. So it was a good entry into getting my story out. And I'm working on this other book, and I
are you?
believe that I'll use the um, part of that story that I created in that book, the collaborative book, um, in this book, because it's going to be like a cookbook, handbook, but
That's
part of
right.
sharing my stories, and then other recipes, meal prep, things like that. So
Meal and crap and stuff like that.
yeah,
Moira, thank you so much for being the advocate in the world that you are, first for yourself and then for others.
yeah, you're
You
welcome.
are you have a tremendous influence and impact in your world, and I admire that as an introvert over here. I love your ways,
Mm,
and yet you make a person feel like they're the only one you're speaking to. So,
mm,
guys, I'll talk about you like you're not here for a second, honey. If there's somebody that you would like to that has experience that can really be the example, I can't vouch for anybody higher than Moyra Gorski. She's really taken gigantic leaps. Where's your bat suit, woman? Okay, like
mm.
you are flying, and I'm honored to know you, and carry on. You're doing a great thing. Thank you for joining me on the Advocates interviews.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for all that you do.
It's my pleasure. We can't not do it, can we?
That's right. I
Do
know.
you
We
have
keep
one final
following.
thing? Sorry. Do you have one final thing you'd like to say or add, or you have a quote, favorite thing? People can come over to your Facebook. I don't want to leave you without that.
Yeah, well, you can find me on Facebook. I know that you'll leave a link for them. I do have a community there. I do have, five tips to joy that
Yes.
that I give to you guys. Just some things that help me be joyful and that hopefully you can. But I want to encourage people to know that it's just never too late to start saying yes to you. And I know it's hard sometimes because, you've got to pull yourself up and pull yourself out. And, but, it's never too late. And I've had a few things kind of slap me in the face and wake me up to life, and that, life tomorrow's not promised. So let's take today and do the things that we can do today to help us be joyful. So those are my, again, it's not too late. And I just encourage people to just start.
Yeah, man. Get
Yeah.
started. Action Jacksons. Let's go.